Hey, what's up everyone? Thanks for joining me back in my kitchen for another video. So today I'm gonna be talking about the top 10 foods that I just can't live without. And I know you're probably sitting there on the other side of the computer thinking, Derek, that's a little bit dramatic. It's probably a little clickbaity. You could probably live without these foods. Well, no, seriously, I eat these foods so much, I probably couldn't live without them. Okay, well maybe if they didn't exist, I'd find a way, but so these are foods that I always keep on hand, either in the cupboard or in the fridge, that make eating healthy easy. So to make this list, the foods have to be nutritious, obviously. They also have to be versatile, which means that I can use them for many different dishes in many different ways. They also have to be affordable. I mean, I ain't trying to get broke over here, so you know, I'm not gonna be buying any super expensive foods as staples. Also has to be easy to find in grocery stores. So I'm not talking about anything that's like, you know, only in some exclusive specialty store or only ripe for like a week out of the year. No, these are foods that are gonna be available, you know, for most of the year to mostly everybody. And lastly, of course, they have to taste good. I will put links in the description box down below under each food that I talk about with videos that I have relating to them, so you guys can have some like healthy recipes to go along with this information. So if you're new to eating plant-based or veganism, or you're just looking for some healthy staples to add to your shopping list, this is definitely gonna help you out. In no order, number one, bananas. So bananas make this list for many reasons. One of the main ones is because they are super cheap and they are available year-round. Like there's no season for bananas. You can find them in stores all year round, which is really nice. And they also ripen in the house, which is really cool as well. So if you want them to ripen faster, obviously put them somewhere warm, maybe on top of your refrigerator. If you want them to ripen slower, put them somewhere cool. If you want to stop the ripening process, fire them in the fridge. The skin will turn really brown if you do that. However, the banana inside, totally cool to eat. And if they get too ripe or you have too many and you don't know what to do with them, just peel them and then fire them into the freezer. Great for adding to like smoothies and also like making banana ice cream with, obviously. So banana smoothies are something that I've been having almost every day for the last, I don't know, pretty much the whole time I've been vegan for like 10 years now. And it's something that's always served me really well. I always enjoy it. And like I said, super cheap, nutritious, always easy to have on hand. But that's not the only way that I use bananas. I mean, they're just a great snack to have on their own. Probably some of the best fuel for athletes out there. But they're also amazing sliced on some toast with peanut butter. It's gotta be one of my absolute favorite snacks or meals ever. So I should mention, you do wanna try and buy organic, free trade bananas when you can, because the banana industry is like pretty messed up. If you wanna learn more about it, check out the movie Banana Land or Bananas at Any Cost if you wanna learn more about the industry. If you are eating bananas, I recommend you check one of those two documentaries out, because yeah, it'll definitely open up your eyes for sure. And lastly, with bananas, everyone always talks about how high they are in potassium, and a lot of people know that they're not the highest source of potassium. There's a food in our list actually that is higher than bananas. We'll talk about it in a little bit. But one thing it is very high in is B6. And vitamin B6 is crucial for helping our body to create serotonin and melatonin, which we know is important for good mood and good sleep. So we should all be eating more bananas. So number 2 on the list is tofu. So this is one of the highest protein plant foods that we can be eating. So it should be noted though that as tofu gets softer, the protein concentration goes down. So you'll see that the protein amounts in firm tofu are considerably higher than in soft or silken tofu. But that doesn't mean that they don't have their uses or they're not good as well. But firm tofu, I would say, is definitely the staple for me. So along with being a great source of protein, it's also fairly high in iron and calcium. And it's also a fairly low carbohydrate plant food, which might be a selling feature for some people. It isn't for me, but that doesn't mean that I'm not gonna eat it. I love my carbs, but also love my protein. So talking about versatile foods, tofu has got to be one of the most versatile foods out there. I mean, first of all, it's just like a blank canvas sponge, like ready to soak up some flavor. But beyond that, with the texture, you could do so much to change it. Like one of my favorite ways to have it is crumbled as a tofu crumble or a tofu scramble. One of my absolute favorites. Super good way to have it. Of course, you could just cut it into chunks, throw it into a stir fry. One of my favorite ways to have it is air fried tofu. If you know, you know. If not, you're missing out. I have a ton of videos on how to use tofu and tempeh, So like I said before, in the description box down below if you want some suggestions on that. And just a quick note before we move on the environmental impact of soy. So of course, it's not great. We know that a lot of the rainforest is being cut down to grow soy and all this, and a lot of people think that it is going to tofu or tempeh. Vegans and vegetarians are killing the rainforest, when in actuality, 70% of the tofu that is grown around the world actually goes to feed livestock, and about 6% gets to the mouths of humans, and that can even be in the form of like soybean oil and all the additives that are added to a bunch of processed food. So you can imagine the amount that's actually used for tempeh or tofu is like so tiny. A lot of people think that all tofu is GMO or all soybeans are GMO, which is not actually the case at all. And I think you will find that it's very rare to find a non-organic tofu package that doesn't say non-GMO on it. So most of that GMO soy, if it's not going to feed us, we know who it's going to feed, the animals. So number 3 on the list is frozen berries. And the reason why I say frozen berries and not fresh berries is because frozen berries are available year round. Like there's only a very short season that you can get affordable fresh berries around here. And the cool thing about frozen berries is they are actually picked at the peak of their ripeness. A lot of people think that frozen food is going to be so much less nutritious than fresh food, but what happens a lot is they have to pick the food early in order for it to ripen along the way when it's being transported. Whereas when they freeze food, what they do is they have to pick it at the peak of its ripeness, because that's when it's sweetest, and along with the sweetness comes all the nutrition and the antioxidants and everything, and then they freeze it right there really quickly. So I wouldn't say one's better than the other, but you definitely should not discount frozen berries. Nutritionally speaking, berries are actually quite low in calories and have some great nutrition for the amount of calories that they have. I mean, we know great source of vitamin C. They've got tons of antioxidants in them. Something that's cool about the antioxidants that are in them is they actually help to balance and stabilize blood sugar on top of the work that the fiber that's in them already does. So yeah, these are pretty incredible food. So number 4 is kale. So I had to include kale because it is just the king of greens in my opinion, at least. But the reason why kale made this list and not one of the other greens that I could have put on here, because I do love so many other greens: lettuce, spinach, bok choy. I see some cilantro right there in the window. I do love many greens, but kale, in my opinion, is the most incredible because it's available year-round and it grows pretty well in most colder climates. So we can still find local kale growing on our shelves at the grocery store right now, which is really nice. And nice thing about it is it's affordable, and you get like nice hefty bunches like this. Like if you compare it to lettuce at this time of year, like a head of lettuce is like $5 sometimes, and usually, you know, romaine lettuce, it'll just be like a really thin sort of like wilted thing, and yeah, not worth my money in my opinion, but kale definitely is. It's full of vitamin A, vitamin K, and also calcium. And the calcium from kale is highly absorbable because kale does not have a ton of oxalates. While we're talking about this, honorable mention goes to bok choy for being an extremely high calcium green with virtually no oxalates in it. It is so versatile. Like you can eat kale raw, which isn't my favorite way to eat it. You can also cook it and you can massage it. So I know it sounds like super kind of sexy, doesn't it? But it's actually just a way to break down some of those tough fibers so that it's easier for you to eat. Again, I have a recipe. It'll be in the description down below.
Now you gotta eat some kale.
Number 5, and I shouldn't be so excited about this food, but I am. Frozen peas. So these have got to be one of the easiest ways to increase the, flavor, color, nutrition of a meal out there, like period. Probably one of the foods that I consume most consistently on this list. Like I will have frozen peas almost at every single dinner just because it's so easy to throw into things. If I'm making a stir fry, boom, throwing some frozen peas in there. If I'm just having like a quick easy meal, just like a can of lentil soup or something, boom, throwing peas in there. So they're frozen, which is really nice because they're so easy to keep on hand and you don't have to worry about them going bad in the fridge like with the other things. But another cool thing to note about them is they are pre-cooked. You don't have to cook frozen green peas. All you have to do is just heat them up if you want. I mean, you could eat them frozen like this. Not the best. Not bad, actually. Something to note, if you are going to cook with them, I like to put them in right at the end of cooking. Like I mentioned, they are cooked, so you don't have to worry about cooking them. You just want them to thaw, but if you want them to retain their nice bright green color, definitely don't make them one of the first things that you throw into the pan when you're cooking. Like, just put them in right before it all finishes, just enough time to heat them up. A lot of people don't realize it, but green peas are actually a great source of protein. So they actually have 23% of their calories coming from protein, which is even higher, only slightly mind you, but higher than black beans. So good way to add a little kick of protein to your dish as well. Coming in at number 6 is pasta, but not just any pasta, protein pasta. So these are somewhat new to the market. I mean, these definitely weren't out when I first went vegan, almost a decade ago now, but we're starting to see more and more on the shelves all the time, and they're actually like quite nutritious and they taste really good as well. Man, surprisingly enough, they're quite minimally processed. Like if you look, the ingredients in this are just yellow lentil flour, 90%, and brown rice flour, 10%. It still has a good amount of fiber. It's got 11 grams of fiber in a serving here, which is like 40% of your RDI. It's got 20 grams of protein per serving. Like, yeah, these are just incredible. And a ton of iron, a quarter of your recommended daily intake. So one of my favorite things to do if I want like a really quick nutritious meal is just to get the pasta boiling, and then in a saute pan, I'll just like saute some onions, mushrooms, some bell pepper, some tomatoes, just add some sauce to that, and then add that to the spaghetti. And there you have like really quick meal. Basically takes just the amount of time it takes to boil the pasta, which is normal, 8-10 minutes, something like that. Yeah, there you go. Super nutritious, delicious meal. So number 7 has gotta be lentils. And not any lentil in particular. These are green lentils. I also love red lentils. These are super quick cooking ones. But my absolute favorite are the French or poi lentils. And if you're new to eating lentils, those would be the ones that I recommend starting with. They're the best tasting ones. They hold their shape the best. They are a little bit more expensive than other lentils, like the green lentils, but man, in my opinion, they're the Cadillac of all lentils. So these have got to be one of the best and cheapest sources of plant protein out there. So at 27% calories coming from protein, I don't need to tell you this, but that's pretty amazing for a whole plant food. And generally lentils are super cheap, especially if you get them dried like this. But don't get me wrong, I don't always just have dried lentils. I do like to keep cans of lentils around as well, because this is just like super great for, throwing on top of salads or into a stir fry or into soups or, spaghetti sauce as well, whatever you want. I'm talking about spaghetti a lot in this video. I probably have that for dinner. Along with being super high in protein, they're a great source of fiber, really good source of B vitamins, especially high in folate. They're also an incredible source of zinc and iron. And just really quickly, I do like to try and buy organic with most of the foods that I eat. If I can afford it and it makes sense, it's available to me, I do buy organic. However, I just want to throw it out there, lentils are one that you should really try and buy organic. And the reason being is because they repeatedly come back, higher than acceptable levels of the pesticide glyphosate on them. And the reason is because what they do is they spray the crops. They use it as, they call it a desiccant. They spray the crops a couple days before they harvest it. It helps the crops to dry out, which helps them to both harvest it, helps it to keep longer as well. But that's not the only way to do that. It's just cheaper for the farmers, and we know how pressed they are. So that's why I think it's really important that we support organic farmers and we try and buy organic lentils when possible. All right, coming in at number 8. This probably could have been number one in my heart, that's for sure. We're talking about peanut butter. This list wouldn't be complete unless I had peanut butter on it. So what really needs to be said about peanut butter? I mean, it's just the best nut butter out there. I'm sure some of you are gonna argue that in the comments down below. If you're team almond butter, nothing against you, but you're wrong. Team peanut butter for the win. Super dense source of calories, which might be good for some people, might not be for others. So a lot of people, when they move to a plant-based diet, especially if they're athletes, they're trying to build muscle, they're actually looking to bulk up their calories, looking to get some more. So peanut butter is a great way to do that. One of my favorite ways to have it is peanut butter on toast. This is one of the breakfasts I've been having for like my whole life. It's gotten healthier as I've got older, rather than, the processed hydrogenated oil-laden peanut butters. I have natural peanut butter now, which I recommend to all you guys to get as well. But you could also use peanut butter in sauces. I have a great Thai peanut sauce on this channel somewhere. I'll link down below as well. But yeah, I couldn't make this list without having peanut butter in there. Not much to say about it nutritionally. There's definitely more nutritious foods out there than peanut butter, but man, is it ever a good tasty one. And an honorable mention had to go out to tahini. While I'm talking about nut butters, seed butters, whatever, I was trying to decide if I wanted to have peanut butter or tahini as, one of these in the list. And I just went for peanut butter because it's just such a staple for me. But tahini is another one. I do use it slightly differently though. A lot of my sauces that I make are with tahini. So I'll put those in the description down below as well. But yeah, just so you know, tahini, another good staple. So coming in at number 9 are potatoes. Oh my God. Well, that didn't work. So coming in at number 9 are potatoes. So I could have listed sweet potatoes as well, but I wanted to just take a minute to appreciate the humble white potato. So of course, lots of different types. We got like a red flesh one here. These are the organic creamer tomatoes. There's a Yukon Gold, russet, you know, all different types. They're just such a versatile food, they had to make the list. I mean, you can like boil them, you can mash them, you can steam them, baking them, you can make fries out of them. You know, the endless possibilities are out there. People often avoid potatoes because they think that they're like empty carbs or they're not nutritious or whatever, but in reality, they are. They're actually quite a nutritious food. They've got a good amount of B vitamins in them. They've got lots of iron, especially if you leave the skin on, a good amount of zinc, and even more potassium than bananas. Potatoes, just on their own, that is not a food that is going to make you fat. Like, put 2 plain baked potatoes on your plate with every meal and make sure that you eat those, and you come back to me and tell me if you gain weight or not, because I guarantee those 2 potatoes are gonna fill you up. You're not gonna be able to eat a whole bunch of other junk, and you're gonna lose weight, and you're gonna have to go to your friends and be like, you know, I was wrong about potatoes, I'm sorry. Coming in at number 10, we've got rolled oats. So this is definitely a staple for me, one of the foods that I eat most consistently, as are all the things on this list. It's cheap, it's, you know, available all year round and keeps really well. You know, just put it in a sealed container, keep it in your cupboard. You don't even have to think about it until you want it. One of my favorite ways to have it, obviously, is for breakfast having oatmeal. It's got to be one of the cheapest, most delicious, most nutritious breakfasts out there. Oats on their own, they have some nutrition, but a lot of the nutrition you're going to get from a meal with oats is going to be from the other things. So think about it as like kind of using it as like bread. It's more of a vehicle for other things to be eaten with it. So make sure you load up on lots of, you know, fruit and berries and everything in the oats, nuts and seeds, all that sort of stuff, and you're going to have yourself one of the best breakfasts ever. Something I like to do when I'm cooking my oats is to blend up a banana with water first and then cook the oats in that liquid. It's a really nice way to naturally sweeten oats and also bump up the nutrient content of it as well. But one of the things that makes oats so amazing is just how versatile they are. So you can, you know, easily blend up oats in a blender and make oat flour, and from there you can go on to make pancakes, you can make banana bread, you can make cookies, so many different things with it. And another way that you can use it is by putting it into your smoothie. This is kind of a nice way to bump up the calories using a healthy source. So what a lot of people do when they're like bodybuilding or they're athletes and they want to increase the calories that they're getting in the day is they buy something called a mass gainer. So what you can do to make a mass gainer yourself is make your normal smoothie, like I said, add some protein powder, add a scoop of oats, and add like a scoop of peanut butter as well. And boom, there you go. You just jacked up the calories of that smoothie. You're gonna be making gains before you know it. Oats actually contain a really special type of soluble fiber in them called beta-glucans. And these are so powerful, they help with so many different things. They help with balancing blood sugar, they help lower cholesterol, or stabilize cholesterol levels, I should say. They help to reduce inflammation. It will help with different like skin inflammatory conditions like eczema. So it really is like an incredible food. And like with lentils, you really want to try and buy organic if you can, for the same reasons that dang glyphosate that they're spraying on everything. And I actually noticed even on this bag here, it says right on it, glyphosate free. So they know that that is an issue, so that's why they're starting to advertise that now. All right, so I think that's probably it for this video. Those are the top 10 foods that I just can't live without. Sorry I talked so much, but I had to get all that information out to you guys, so I hope you enjoyed it. Definitely leave a like if you did, or if you got something from it. Please, it helps me out so much. There's something about the algorithms right now, they seem to be really favoring videos with lots of likes. So go and hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't yet and you want to see more from me. Thanks to all of you that are already subscribed. Leave a comment down below. Let me know, what is one of the foods that you just can't live without, and if my list kind of matches up with yours. Anyways, see you guys soon with another video. Thanks again for watching. Bye.